Memphis is the home of the blues, rock and roll, and Earle Farrell.
From the Collierville Square to the mighty Mississippi, the Earle Farrell for Memphis show is all about good things that happen across the Bluff City and the people who make Memphis cool.
The Earle Farrell for Memphis show is made possible by our title sponsor, Southern Security Federal Credit Union.
By Dive Shop and Dive Ventures nationwide. Jim Harris Chevrolet with George Gully. For Memphis Magazine. The Live at the Garden Concert Series. And the Orpheum Theater Group Memphis. And by Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, family owned and operated for more than 40 years. And brought to you by High-Low Commercial Services. Thank you to all the sponsors for making this possible.
And now, coming to you from Lansky Brothers, Clothier to the King, inside the world-famous Peabody Hotel with the heart of a cowboy and Memphis in his soul. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Earle Farrell.
And thank you very much, and welcome to Lansky's. And hopefully everybody has survived the ice and snowstorm of 2026. I don't want any more winter. That's it. We're drawing the line somewhere. Unless it wants to do it again, then we'll just take it. We've got a very interesting show today. It's about a place that I've driven by for almost 50 years. I always call it the Pontotoc Hotel, but apparently it's the Hotel Pontotoc. But, you know, Memphis, we still call the New Bridge, and it was built in 73, so there you are. That two guys who were instrumental in bringing back the Pontotoc. Joey Lewis is an owner and developer, and John Tuck, who is the general manager, and they're both looking very stylish today in Lansky jackets. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Also should mention that Tony Kuhn is also a partner, and so all three of you, did you know each other before you embarked on this episode?
Yeah, so Tony and I grew up together. Tony and I played soccer together growing up, and known each other for several years, and had been talking about doing something together, and this came about in 2021.
So you went from playing soccer together going, hey, I've got an idea. But you were a developer before you came up with this idea, right?
Yeah. Tony and I, funny enough, we had a mutual love for this building and didn't know it. Separate from each other, we both loved this building and had been talking about doing something together, and had an opportunity in 2021 to talk to the owner, and we did, and I guess the rest is history.
Let's talk a little about the history, because it's been there for a long time, almost 100 years, and or is it over 100?
120.
120. And it's been everything, including, if you look back at some of the things, it opened in 1906 downtown, and it was the Pontotoc there. It was also another hotel for a while, too, wasn't it? Named something else?
Yeah, so it opened in 1906. It was a small hotel. For the first 10 years, it went under a couple different names. One was the Belmont, one was the Amanda. And then in 1916 is when it actually was named the Hotel Pontotoc. Went through a few different hands of ownership and was a hotel and not a hotel and then a hotel again.
Yeah, I'm interested in the part where it wasn't a hotel. It was actually listed as a bordello or a brothel. Somebody indicated that one is better than the other. How does that happen?
Well, bordello certainly sounds fancy.
Yes, it's
so that's
kind
what,
of French.
That's what we say it was, a bordello.
I think it's about price point.
So it's cheaper if it was one than the other. The story that I heard, and I've heard this since I moved to Memphis, 1978, the Elvis connection. You want to give me your version, and then I'll give them my version.
Well, I wasn't there, but...
Let me make that clear.
Yeah, and I'm not claiming it as a fact, but Dan Rather did report it at one point or another during Elvis Week, just said that there was some fun facts about Elvis that you might not know, and where he lost his virginity was a place called the Hotel Pontotoc in Memphis, Tennessee.
See, the story I heard was that he went there, but ended up getting nervous about it, or didn't like the looks of his counterpart, and he escaped through a window out of one of the rooms. So neither one's a great story. There's got to be something there, though, to have it out there.
Well, I think that may be two stories in one because there's the Elvis part of that, but then Tennessee Williams was the one who jumped out of a window.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another story connected there. Okay.
There's a few characters and stories that have come through the Pontotoc in 120 years.
Well, you know, and Hank Williams, this is where his last binge took place at the Green Beetle, just down the street on Front Street from you guys. he supposedly spent about 3 days there. And there was a liquor store right next to the Green Beetle back then. They had a pass-through window. And this is, you want another bottle of booze, you go to the pass-through window, knock it, say, give me another bottle of bourbon. Then they'd pass it through. Then somehow he got back to Knoxville and took his last ride. They were going to Kentucky or someplace to perform. Hired some kid to drive him in his Cadillac because he was incapable of driving. They pulled the Cadillac over the rank because the kid was like 16 and inexperienced. So the police officer goes, "Who's in the back?" He said, "That's Hank Williams Jr." He said, "Is he okay?" She says, "I don't know. He hadn't peeped a word since we left Knoxville." They opened the door, shined a flashlight. He goes, "Kid, this guy's dead."
Oh, no.
And so there was your Memphis connection and to Front Street to the Pontotoc. So we don't know if Hank was ever at the Pontotoc. But he may have just stayed full time at the Green Beetle.
Yeah, could have been.
Is it the history, which is one of the things I've loved about Memphis ever since I moved here from Dallas? Because you have things that go back to the 1800s, and there's so many buildings. Is why so many people film here, because it has a unique, original look to it. And I think there are just some people that appreciate history more than others because, I mean, you got to love it. I've loved being downtown all the years with my restaurants and then working at Channel 3 downtown. And what was it that just caught your eye about the Pontotoc at the very beginning?
Yeah, so I too love older things. The house I live in now in Memphis was built in 1930. My in-laws' house in Brownsville, Tennessee, that they still live in, was built in 1860.
Wow.
Own a couple other buildings that were built in 1912, and then of course the Pontotoc built in 1906. But yeah, what drew me to it was just I loved the building. I had told my wife Carmen probably 15 years ago that somehow, some way, we were going to have something to do with that building.
Really?
I just loved it, and it was my favorite property in Memphis. And to your point, Memphis and Nashville, there's a lot of differences in Memphis and Nashville. But one thing I do love about downtown Memphis versus Nashville is just there's still a lot of old buildings,
yep,
and the character of old buildings. And the stone on our building's been there 120 years. And you go to Nashville, and it's just a brand new blue glass building after blue glass building.
It's now like Dallas. When
Yeah.
I was living in Dallas, and I came here and I went, this is nice. I like this. That and the people. The people in Memphis are like, hey, if we like you, we like you. And if they don't like you, they just don't talk to you anymore. In Nashville, they just go, what can you do for me? Which is sort of like what Dallas was when I left there. How did you you're still very young to be a developer. Because Henry Turley was the guy that had our building downtown, and he's been in it forever. How did you get into development? I mean, you just buy some property and say, hey, I like this.
Well, it's become an expensive hobby, buying old buildings, I guess, if you will. But I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. My dad was that way, and I've owned rental houses on the side and ice machines and strip centers and things like that. And then my family owned the building, the Medicine Factory building on Virginia Avenue for the better part of 20 some odd years. And I ended up buying that from my brother and dad in 2018. So that was kind of my first building downtown Memphis.
And you had a vision for that building? Because was it a warehouse type building before?
Yeah, it was a warehouse. My brother is an artist, and he had built out art studios and kind of built out the gallery space of it. And but moved. He's a professor, and he moved away. And the artists were still in the studios that they had, and they loved them. But the building needed a lot of work and needed a new roof and a bunch of new windows and just general TLC. And then, so we got a hold of it. We built more art studios. We've brought more feet into the door with exhibits and different events. And then we built out the basement of that, as you know, into a Pilates and yoga studio called Dose Pilates and Yoga.
You're persuaded to go down and do the Pilates?
Oh yeah.
Good for you.
Not as often as I would like, but I'm there often, but not able to do class all the time.
Just keep moving. And John, how did you get involved with the project?
I've been in Memphis for a couple of years now. My background is in F&B and boutique hotels, and I was brought to this area by another local hotel, and through that connection, I got to meet Joey and Tony. They were looking for somebody to run the F&B program, because their first guess was that they had built a hotel that had a bar in it. And then as it opened, they came to realize, we built a bar that happens to have a hotel above it, and more of an event space, more of an F&B operation. And that's my background. I came here almost 3 years ago. I absolutely love Memphis for a million reasons. Mostly it's the birthplace of rock and roll. I mean,
Yep.
we're literally sitting across the street from where everything I love
And the place
happened.
Elvis got all his clothes. Not just Elvis.
Yeah.
Everybody was in the music business in Memphis starting out had no money. So they would come to Lansky's, and Bernard would give them credit. Actually, it was called walking layaway. It wasn't laying away because you weren't laying back there. They'd let them wear the clothes out of here, and then they'd pay so much on a week after that, which was very benevolent because nobody did that in those days. This was back when the store was on Beale Street. So there's just so much history around all of this, and it's true. It's not like Epcot at Disney World where now you're in Europe.
My very first week here, of course, I went to Beale Street and got to live in it and just breathe it all. And talk about being on lease, I got to watch a blues musician play this amazing set. Everything you want about Beale Street. And about halfway through, I look down and I'm looking at the amp that he's playing through. And you can see the pawn shop tag hanging off of it. Like he's got to bring it. He's got a gig tonight, but that thing's going back tomorrow.
It's going back tomorrow.
Yeah. So I've never felt more stylish in my life, if I'm being truthful.
Well, you look great in there. I had a friend from Texas who came in with his brother that I grew up with, and he's a big blues guy in Texas. He plays in a small band on weekends. He's not like a full-time blues guy, but he has a great appreciation for it. He came here and he said, "I'd love to be able to play down on Beale Street. How can I do that?" I said, "Okay, listen closely. Go to the liquor store and get a fifth of Jack Daniels, and you're in the band." And he was. And he said they were great. I said, "Can I play with you guys?" They said, "Sit down." And the blues guys know blues, so they just, do their thing. Because as I mentioned, you're an F&B guy, but also you had to have the food to have the bar.
Yeah.
So that meant you had to open a kitchen as well. Was that planned for?
Yeah. So we do have a kitchen, and we are a restaurant. It's small plates. It's more of a catering kitchen, but our menu is very limited in terms of food. It's more of a bar.
Which has always been my favorite part of the bar. It's the bar.
Yeah. You got to have a little food, but
we got some pictures. This is a photograph of what it looked like shortly after you guys took over. And is that a pole for the eventual sign, or is that a TV antenna sticking out there?
Yeah, so that is the pole that the sign was hanging on. The sign had just been taken down in that photograph to be refurbished, and it's hanging back on that pole
we
today.
got some more coming in a second. Yeah. When you look at this picture now, because this is what it's looked like for years and years to me, it was a great-looking building, but there was just something about it was different from all the other buildings down there. What did you see when you first started looking at it?
Yeah, I guess I saw just the stone on the outside of the building, this great property on the west side of it, which we call the Garden today. I just think it had so much character to it and had so much potential, and it wasn't this massive, 100,000 square foot building that we were going to try to work with. It was reasonable in terms of size, and it just drew us to it.
Yeah, I was in the restaurant business with Bob Thielen. Told me one time, he said, "You can't fill up an empty restaurant, and you can't empty a full restaurant." And what it meant was, if you got 100,000 square feet, it looks mostly empty, no matter how many people are in there. You got a smaller place, and if it's got 25 people in it, it looks like it's almost full. And people want to go to places that look almost full. And so I guess you kind of fill both bills there.
Yeah. I mean, we certainly, when we bought it, to John's point, when we purchased it, we knew we were going to build back this hotel. It was a hotel originally, and we knew that was the idea that we wanted to go with. And we were going to put this restaurant bar. The bottom floor or the basement floor was always going to be this restaurant bar, but didn't really realize exactly what we were going to get into. But that was the idea from the beginning, and it's still what we've got today.
And back to the photos. This is, I guess you'd started working on the building at this phase. So looking at it right now, the main stairwell that was in the last, and we'll go back to it, you had a kind of a winding wrought iron staircase that went up. And then it looks like you've got stone stairs going up to the next level?
Yeah, concrete stairs that go up on both sides. So you can go up the east or the west side of that stairway, and that'll take you into the lobby of the hotel. And then through that oval entrance underneath, that's the entrance into the bar.
Great, love that. And this is, I guess, the grand opening?
Yeah, that was the ribbon cutting day with the Downtown Memphis Commission. And
look at the change now. You got kind of a overhead balcony looking down, and then I guess that's where guests pull up to unload their luggage and whatnot. And the new windows look spectacular. you've done other projects, but had you ever done a hotel before?
Never.
So, and what I always talk to any entrepreneur about when they did some of the first time, I said, would you do it again? I said, probably, but I know a lot more about it now than I did before. But that's the only way you learn, because each project is different. But with a hotel, you're talking about not something that's open from 11 in the morning till midnight. This is 24/7. I mean, these folks show up and they never go away. Or they do, they're followed up with other folks.
Yeah, that's right. We have to remind our contractors sometimes when they have to come back to fix a little something here and there, we have to remind them that, because we were under construction for 3.5 years, we have to remind them, hey, we're an open business that's open 24 hours a day. This is not a construction site anymore. You can't just come and go and take your time on some of these little projects.
And John, when you came in, I mean, this is something you hadn't dealt with before. Food and beverage, yeah, but 24 hours, you're taking care of people. And even though you may have a kitchen, you know, it's not like me at the Peabody. Even they have a limit on their room service. You know, they said we don't do anything after midnight or something. And so,
well, being as we have a uniquely spaced kitchen, it's a catering kitchen, so that when we have outside events, outside vendors can come in, and when we sell out the place, part of it is the fact that any chef can walk in there and use it as a catering kitchen. So what that does is it sort of forces you to think in what you can prepare quickly, what you can maintain, and what can be just turned into room service for guests in a quick fashion. So nothing on our menu takes more than 15 minutes to prepare. It's all just very easy, and because we are so small and intimate, it's easy to have that relationship with a guest and take a different kind of hospitality. It's not just, hi, welcome in, eat your food, and move on. It's a boutique hotels are a whole different level of hospitality, where you have an intimacy with somebody where you'll see them 2-3 times in a day.
Yeah, and it's the same people.
Yeah.
Yep. A suggestion: beanie weenies, because they're quick to prepare. Just peel the lid off, and you can serve any time of day.
Little toothpick. All set.
Don't even need that. You got fingers, just pull one out of there. Let's get another picture here, because this is inside the rooms. And by the way, you're being featured this month in For Memphis magazine. So you got some great pictures there. In fact, a model is in this hallway. Great looking hallway though, and it just looks like the past. And because so many places in the future they've got a lot of neon and string lighting and just different things. This just looks like you're going back in time, which is really kind of what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. We fell in love with the building is the reason we purchased it. We didn't want to rip it out, and make it new. If we wanted to do that, we would have gone to the suburbs. So we really did want to go back and make it time specific, but also with the modern things that you have to have today. And our interior design group did a great job. It was Parker Design Studio and Parker, Lindsay Crump. They did a fantastic job. It's funny, you look at this picture. This is in the grand suite that's upstairs. And the wallpaper, you mentioned earlier, the wallpaper on the ceiling. The idea in this room was always to have wallpaper on the ceiling and not on the wall. But every time I walk into that suite, I can't imagine it not being on the wall. It was one of those just spur of the moment things when the wallpaper was being hung. We had extra wallpaper, and so let's just run it down the wall and see what it looks like. So
it kind of reminds me of Graceland in the pool room or the billiard room. They have this pleated material that starts at the ground floor of the walls. It goes all the way up to a peak in the ceiling over the pool table, and it's all like real shiny, sort of like your jacket today, nice. John. And I've never seen anything like that before, and I've never seen anything quite like this before. So that's something people will go, hey, look at that. Yeah. I noticed it immediately.
The decor nods to that period in history, and one of the things that makes downtown Memphis today so cool is all of the Art Deco era buildings that are still around, and you can just walk down Memphis Street and you can picture life back in the 50s and 60s, and the fact that they haven't run away from their history. They embrace it. They love it. And that's one of the things that makes this particular building so cool is their importance that they placed on the preservation of the history of the building itself. Every element that could possibly be preserved and integrated into the new space, so where it feels modern, it feels clean, but at the same time, it's definitely reaching back to a period in time.
In fact, the rooms are named from events that have happened there since it opened. In fact, rooms. 1916 was when it opened, so there's a 1916 room, right?
Yeah. So the rooms go from 1906 up to 2022. And so, 1906 was it's the first room because that was the year that it was built. 1916, for instance, is the year that it was named Hotel Pontotoc. You get into 1920, which is when it became a bordello. 29 is when the Tulliadis family, a Greek family, big Memphis Greek family, had purchased the property. 1930, and this is all on the main floor. 1930 is when a Mexican artist, Dionisio Rodriguez, who built the Crystal Grotto out at Memorial Park.
Yeah.
He lived at the building for a few years while he was building that. Wow. And so anyway, every room is numbered after a year that was important to the property.
Let me see if we go. This is, I tell you, we're going to take a break before we come back and start talking about the Dame and how you came up with the name, and then also talk about some of the events that are upcoming and who has performed at the Dame at the Hotel Pontotoc. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Dawn Grader, President and CEO of Southern Security Federal Credit Union at our new headquarters here in Collierville, Tennessee, off by Hillier Road. We are the proud presenting sponsor of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show and are looking forward to a great 2026 where some of the shows will be hosted from our new headquarters location here in Collierville.
Hello, Memphis, Mid-South. And first, I'd like to thank you for visiting with Earle Farrell Memphis today, and we want to support him just like you do. I'm George Gully, one of the sales managers at Jim Carrey Chevrolet. We've been in business here in Memphis for over 75 years. I've been associated with the company for almost 25, and I'll help you find the right car, truck, or SUV here at not only our Chevy store, but also Buick, GMC, Nissan, Subaru. We can help you find that right car. Keep watching Earl and come see me. Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Matt Dabney with Hilo Commercial Services. We sponsor the Earle Farrell for Memphis show. They concentrate on positive things, and that's what we do also.
Hi, I'm Mitch Wright. And I'm his son, Mickey. And we're the owners of Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And proud sponsors of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show. We're thankful to be part of the Memphis community. We've been in business for 42 years, taking care of people and loving the people of the Mid-South.
Hi, this is Randy Wright from the Dive Shop and Dive Ventures in Memphis. We've been in Memphis over 64 years teaching people to dive, snorkel, and swim. We'd love to have you come join us and have some fun. We're also a part of the Dive Ventures group with 18 locations across the country, stretched from Phoenix to Vienna, Virginia. Please give us a call. We'll be able to take care of you at 999 South Yates in Memphis, or call us at 901-763-DIVE.
Hi, I'm Brett Batterson, President and CEO of the Orpheum Theater Group in downtown Memphis. We are so pleased with our partnership with the Earle Farrell Show and very happy that he is broadcasting live from Lansky's at the historic Peabody Hotel. We're all here to make Memphis better.
And welcome back. And you're looking at the Hotel Pontotoc and the Dame, which is the bar down in the lower level, actually the old basement of the hotel. With me are Joey Lewis, who's an owner and a developer, and John Tuck, who is the general manager. Also, the other partner is Tony Kuhn, and this was a job 3 years in the making. And, of course, you're a developer, so you kind of have an idea how that can go. But I know that my wife, every project I ever got involved with, she said, how much is this going to cost? And you're going to go, I thought you said it wouldn't cost this much.
Well, every project costs twice as much as you think and takes twice as long. This one might have cost 3 times what we thought and took 3 times as long, but here we are. It was 3.5 years in the making of the renovation.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful, as I mentioned earlier. They've got a layout in there in For Memphis magazine this month showing the whole hotel, so check that out as well. This is the shot of Dame inside the hotel, beautiful bar. And how did you come up with the name Dame? Was that for the Bordello years? Or?
Yeah, it was a nod to a madam. Just kind of an edgy name, but also told the history of the building and what had been there at one time. And it was just something that we kind of threw out there and we all liked, and here we are. We've got the Dame.
With the guests that have stayed there so far, what are the things that they keying on that you keep getting questions about or mentioned about that really are because everything takes on a life of its own. And then also things you thought were going to be big hits, and nobody mentions those, and something else is like you thought was really insignificant. This is my favorite part of your building.
Well, if John can answer too, but for me, and maybe this is more of a guy thing than a female thing, but most of the guys mention the toilets. This building had high tank toilets like you would see in Europe still today, and like you would see. The tank. Yeah, and so we went back with high tank toilets.
Let gravity do the work.
That's right. Yeah, and they work so much better than the toilets that we use today. And
they make you buy these new toilets that nobody likes. You got the two buttons in the middle of the lid. Kids can't reach them, and nobody knows how to use them.
Yeah, we were dead set on going back with these high tank toilets. Number one, because they look really cool.
Yeah.
Number two, it was the history of the building. That's what it originally had. I guess the funny part with it is the number of hoops we had to jump through with code enforcement to get them approved. Yeah, and I just said, would you come down here and flush one? You'll understand what I'm talking about.
Did they?
They did. Yeah, we finally got them approved.
We give tours of the property all the time, and one of our favorite things to do is take somebody who's just maybe coming in to check out the Dame, and they're like curious about the hotel, and Kyle, our reservations and events manager, is fantastic about giving tours, and Joey loves to give the tours just to show the building.
Sure.
And all the women all talk about the decoration and the appointments of it, and how Ann Park did an amazing job. And then every guy is like, "Yeah, but did you see the toilets?" Like that's every single time.
That'll move some product.
Yeah, and every room is different too. So to that point, just what do people talk about? We didn't recreate any wallpaper. Every wallpaper is different in the building. There's some rooms that have more of the exterior or the exposed plaster we were able to save, more so than other rooms. The headboards are all different. The fabrics are all different. People just talk about the design component.
And the design, I think, is beautiful. And it's Art Deco and yet not. It's traditional and yet not. So you kind of mixed it up. The furniture, though, is it like modern or is it traditional? Did you go with any specific type, or you just like the piece?
Yeah, just Ann's team picked most of that and just liked the piece, and felt like that it went back to the period that we were trying to go to for that particular room. The furniture is all new, although it looks aged a bit. But
that's like me. I look new, but I'm not.
Yeah. But we did save as much of the building as we could too. Like from the stone that's on the outside, the hardwood floors we were able to save. We saved as much of the plaster walls as we could. The doors we recreated or reused a lot of the doors. We even left the numbers on them. So if it was room number 11, it still says 11, and maybe a bathroom door now. The hardware that was on those doors we were able to reuse. We tried to reuse as much as we possibly could because again that's the reason we fell in love with the building.
You also have entertainment. In fact, Rob and Beth, who work on the show with me, went to see Boo Mitchell, who just won his 3rd Grammy. So you've had a 3-time Grammy winner in your place. That's pretty good, pretty tall cotton.
Yeah, he played for us, I think, the week before. He went out to L.A. to pick up his 3rd Grammy.
One of the most important things that brought me onto this project and got me very excited about it was its proximity to Beale Street and the ability to honor that legacy past. One of the brief periods of history in the building was it was a place called the Cellar Club in, I think, the 70s. Yep. Kind of a semi-legendary punk rock, just whatever club in Memphis. And
Beth,
it was also.
Did you know about that?
Oh, yeah.
She's a punk rocker from way back.
I'm going to have to hear stories.
Don't remember any.
Good cover.
Good answer.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, the legacy of that and it being a recording studio and all that, and wanting to honor the musical aspect as we are the latest stewards in the history of the building, honoring that legacy and creating on a Saturday night when you've got the bar packed and we've got a blues musician playing almost just too loud that his speakers are crackling, and you get just this feel of being in a juke joint, and it's this amazing feeling, especially being from outside of here.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
When they come here, they don't want
that's the expectation.
A big, commercial dance place. They want funk,
Exactly. Down and dirty in a basement.
Yeah.
And that's, except for the dirty part. That's what we're
making that part up.
Exactly.
Some of the events coming up, and you got Joanne Serenko.
Yeah, so you mentioned Boo Williams has played for us 3 different times as as a 3-time Grammy Award winner. Yeah, Joanna Sorinko is playing for us on Valentine's night from 9 to 11 p.m. She was on The Voice. I don't remember exactly which season she was on, but she had a 4-chair turn on The Voice. I think she made it to the top 9 of that season. And she's touring right now, and so she's going to be coming through Memphis and playing at the Dame inside the Hotel Pontotoc on the 14th.
We were talking earlier about trying to get her on, but we do the shows on Monday and Wednesday. She's coming in for Saturday, and so what we may try to do is find out where she is and have a Zoom call so we can talk to her about what she thinks about coming to Memphis and performing at Hotel Pontotoc.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
And then you never really know. Do you guys put up stuff on your Facebook page about who's coming, who's playing currently?
Facebook, Instagram, all of that. For this weekend, we have the Late Greats, which is on Friday night, a local bluegrass group that we playing downstairs, so that'll be cool. We've also got our concert series in the Garden. We've had one of these so far. We did it our first one back in December with Serena Wages, who's a local alt country. Beautiful voiced, amazing singer, kind of an Americana style, and that was our first outdoor show in the garden next, which is the exterior space where we built a stage, did the whole 9 yards, and we're going to be doing that again in March.
I'm looking at the front of the building again right before you opened, and you can see kind of where the garden is to the right, right. And is there a wall around that, or is it just a low wall or a fence?
Yeah. So it's a brick wall, brick and iron wall that you can't get to it from the outside unless you're coming through the building.
That's to
so
keep
it's private.
people from running out on their check.
That's right.
I'm familiar with that. Not that I ever did that, but people will. There's so many venues downtown that do have outdoor venues, and that's part of the charm of downtown, that everybody wants to be inside and outside. And I think it's just an incredible project, and I can't wait to come down there and hear some people perform there and stay downtown. That's the thing. The other thing we want to mention, though, is weddings and events that you can come in and take over the whole building, have a wedding venue, or your out-of-town guests can fill up the whole hotel.
Yeah, going back to the garden part of it, so there's a patio out there, and one unique thing in terms of our patio, one unique thing about our property is we have these big mature trees that have been there for 80 and 90 years. You just don't see downtown. It's funny, when we were looking at the building and we were talking to the owners that owned it back in 2022, there were a lot of windows that didn't even have boards in it. There were the glass missing, and I remember asking the owner, do you have squirrels and things like that? And she's like, well, there are no squirrels in downtown. We're the only place that has trees. So kind of a unique part of our patio, and really makes the patio what it is the big mature trees that are out there. It's also helped with the music too. The people who have played outside for us on any given weekend, or for that concert that Serena Wages played, something about the way the buildings in between us are and the way the trees are above us, it makes the sound is great out there.
Wow.
It's very warm acoustics.
The sound inside the Dame's great too. So we spend a lot of time and money and detail on the STC rating, so the sound transfer rating between corridors and between rooms upstairs, but also the ceiling of the bar up to the hotel space. And in doing that, trying to keep that soundproof essentially, in doing that, we made a pretty cool little music venue where the sound is really, really good down there.
Speaking of sounds, do you ever hear any spooky noises at night? I heard Kathy ask you if there are any ghosts in the Pontotoc.
Not that we're aware of. I've been in there thousands and thousands of times, and if they are, they're friendly spirits, and we welcome them.
And you ask about what guests key in on, and that is probably the number 2 question. The Elvis thing always comes up, but the is it haunted thing? Yeah. And I can say right now, all the time that we've spent there, nothing.
What's it down at the corner of the Hazel and
Ernestine Hazel?
There's a ghost story there. I've actually seen the image. Have you ever seen the image that somebody took looking down the hall? It shows this woman peering out the door, and like your building, it had room numbers and all because it was a brothel. And when I saw that picture, I went, "That is spooky." It doesn't look like it's been fixed. But it's always interesting you say that, there could be. I know the Orpheum. I worked for Pat Halloran at the Orpheum. I went and sat in the lobby with all the lights out one day at lunch, and I sat there for an hour. Okay, if you're here, come see me. And I never saw anything, but there are plenty of stories of people who have. Sometimes I think it's they can't hypnotize me either. So you may have to have a suggestive part of your brain that people can reveal, and if you sit there, I ain't believing that,
A receptive piece of your brain where those wavelengths hit you.
I've been in denial
strokes.
about so many things over the years, so this is probably just another denial of it. But I think it's a great project. Thank you guys for putting in all the years and making this happen, because that is what makes Memphis great. It's people that care about Memphis come in and do something that really is special, and not just a cookie cutter, let's do it again. And that's certainly not what you guys have done. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for both coming in and talking to us. And let's all meet at Hotel Pontotoc and have a brewski or a cocktail. I'm looking forward to it. That's our show for today. Stay warm, and let's hope and pray no more winter weather until like 2030, maybe. At least we can hope. We'll see you next time.